Ladies and gentlemen, we are tuned in to the Rico Report. I really don't know what to tell you. That game was insane. Welcome to the Big Squad. Shout out to the Big Squad. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Big Squad. Welcome on a very special evening to the Rico Report. We are here. He is our team. This is the Buffalo Fanatics. Bing, 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 bing. Ladies and gentlemen, it is your boy Rico back at it again. I've got an exciting guest. You have no idea how excited I am about it. Not because I personally know this person. No, it's because this individual I stand for. Him and somebody else as well. But I will tell you something, man. It's going to be a fire show. Without further ado, I got to get my bell out because you guys have no idea how excited I am. I'm going to bring this man on. Ladies and gentlemen, former Buffalo Bill player personnel, director, Jim Monos. I'm excited. What's going on, fam?
What's happening, man? Thanks for having me. This is pretty cool. I got my Miller High Life. I'm ready to go.
He's got his cerveza ready to go. I like it. Jim, how are you doing, man? Before I even get into it, how are you doing? How's life? How's the family? How's everybody doing health-wise, all that?
Hey, life is good. Family's good. This is the greatest time of year, March Madness. You got free agency, the draft. Even when I was in personnel in football, I always loved March Madness and all this together. And this is the best time of year when you're in personnel because free agency is a rush. The draft is a rush. So this is it, man. This is the time of year. If you love football, this is it.
So I always remember you and Doug Whaley always saying this is our Super Bowl around this time. I told you, I don't play around, man. I loved your guys. This is our Super Bowl. This is where we excel. This is where we do our thing. This is where it's up your alley right now. You must be paying attention to all of the league. Or are you more like, man, because I'm not that much into the league right now, things are probably in the works right now. Are you still paying attention to the moves that are happening all over the place?
So I'm really into the league for sure. Where it's been hard for me is, and you can watch tape on NFL Game Pass. So I watch that every week for NFL, but I don't have access to college football tape. So I'm a little bit not as in tune with the draft as I used to be. But as far as free agency and what's going on with the league, really loving it. Love following what's going on. Love what the players are doing right now. This Deshaun Watson thing's crazy right now. Russell Wilson thing. I mean, we've never seen anything like this in the NFL.
Okay, I need to say something. And you tell me if I'm crazy. Not too long ago, I don't remember who it was. I think it was what's that dude's name on Fox? He's always talking nonsense about just getting people hyped up. Chiefs fan. He's got Nick Wright. I like Nick Wright.
I think he's one of the best. I think he's one of the best in the business.
I also agree. There's a lot of good guys out there, but Nick Wright, I know he gets people riled up, but he's super intelligent and he has great takes. But
he's on it.
He's got some controversial ones. So he mentioned not everybody. I'm paraphrasing here. He mentioned Deshaun Watson, and there's only two teams that should not trade for Deshaun Watson. I think it was two teams. He said Seattle maybe, and Pat Mahomes for the Chiefs. But anybody else in the league should trade for Deshaun Watson. I agreed. Bills fans came after me. I said I would trade Josh Allen for Deshaun Watson. They're both fantastic, but there's a little something that I like about Deshaun Watson, but people lambasted me. And don't get me wrong, I love what Josh Allen's done for the Bills. Was I crazy for saying that?
So you're not crazy for saying that. Here's the hard part, and I'll come at you from the Bills side of it. Okay. Where now it's basically what you're doing more is saying who's the better player, right? Who would you rather have? I'm taking Deshaun over Josh Allen too. I agree with you. But the hard part is, and this is where it gets tough, is the Bills have a chemistry in that locker room right now and a toughness about them. They love Josh Allen. They love everything about him. You know what I'm saying? Those guys go out there and they want to win for him. And you can't mess that up right now. What the Bills have, and I love what they've done in free agency, and we'll talk about that. But that's the only reason I wouldn't do it. I think I know what you're saying. That hey, is Deshaun better than Josh? Yeah, I would take Deshaun Watson over Josh Allen. If I'm the Bills, though, no. I think everything's good, and just keep
Don't mess
rolling.
it up. And
that's how I would.
That's exactly what I was saying. I was saying player to player. Who's the better player? I'm taking Deshaun Watson.
No doubt.
And I'm like, look what he did with a depleted Texans team. Threw for almost 5,000 yards, 30 plus touchdowns, but people were not even wanting to hear me. I think I lost followers. Not that I give a damn. I lost followers for that because I shared my opinion for crying out loud. But anyway, I digress. But I wanted to just get your opinion on that. So let's get into what the team is currently doing right now, right? Are you in favor? Do you like what Bean is doing? And coming from a scouting guy, how does he do this? What's he saying to these players to get them to come on to this team?
Well, the first thing is what you're seeing is what happens when you have a good team like the Bills have right now is you're going to get guys to stay at, the best price for both people where, hey, as long as the Bills are being fair, Matt Milano is good. I don't need to go anywhere. Like, I don't want to go anywhere. You guys are being fair. I'll take that deal. Hey, they have done what they do with the salary cap is genius. And that's a lot of credit to Brandon Bean and that whole part of the staff, the salary cap staff, Jim Overdorf. They do a great job of getting creative right now. And this team is in the AFC Championship last year. Why mess it up? So they go ahead and what do? They keep their free agents. And that's what you want to do. You don't overspend. You don't go for the splash guy. They didn't do that. So they kept their team in place. I love the Trubisky signing. I've been saying for weeks that they need a better – Matt Barkley can't play. Like, you're kidding yourself with him. And why not? You have a good team. Let's not mess it up. Here's a guy that is a proven – he was a field goal away from winning a playoff game a couple of years ago. He's proven that he can win games in the NFL. Is he a franchise quarterback like the Bears thought? No. But is he a damn good backup quarterback? Yeah. So I love that, what they did there. And and now they can go into the draft and get best player available and don't panic.
So speaking of panic, did the Bills panic when it came to, and maybe I'm using the wrong term here, but the release of John Brown, right? They're like, I don't want to pay that money. Get rid of him. And then they went after Emmanuel Sanders, which I think is the best move right now, currently where we stand. How do you I guess defend those that are like, man, we should have kept John Brown, man. Like, that guy's a speed guy. He's this, that, and the third. How do you defend that? To me, I think they made the best move. How do you feel about that John Brown release?
I didn't notice John Brown in the playoffs. Did you?
I did not. And let me go further than that. Did you notice him in the Houston Texans game? I didn't. Actually.
So
go ahead.
That's what I'm saying. No, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I know you probably don't want me to agree with you all the time, but Emmanuel Sanders, that guy can play. You just upgraded. I mean, you have a number one wideout in Diggs, and then you have two route runners in Sanders and Beasley who are uncoverable in that slot position. And then Davis is a good player. So they're a mix right now, and they're going to get a tight end. They're going to find a way to get a tight end, whether it's draft or another guy in free agency maybe we haven't thought about. But that team, the Bills are loading up on offense. They aren't messing around. I love it.
I'm loving what they're doing right now, and with limited amount of money, I don't know how they're able to do these things, but they're doing it now. Let's dive into this roster right now. We'll go on to the offensive side of the ball. We already know that Josh Allen is a dog. That guy's a pure dog. He's doing what he needs to do. But then you look around on the offensive side of the ball, and I'm looking for weaknesses. I'm looking for where, as a Bills fan, where I can try to improve. And right now, the glaring one of the biggest spots that I'm looking at is the tight end room. I'm not impressed with our tight end in Dawson Knox. Now, people are saying, give him a chance. He's young. Get him, let him get it. I'm not buying it. Am I tripping for that, or is it one of those things where you got to let this players develop? Because sometimes
no, I think you're right on. I think they can find better, and I think they're going to look to find better and give them a chance, see what happens. Let it shake out here through the draft and free agency, but I think they know that needs addressed. That position to me over the last couple of years, the Patriots were on to it years ago with Hernandez and Gronk.
Right.
That position right now is a top 10 worthy pick in a draft if the guy's that good. If you value a tight end, I almost think it's as valuable as a left tackle at this point. They are matchup nightmares for a defense. Safeties can't cover them. Linebackers can't cover them. It's a mismatch, and D coordinators don't know what to do. You can't put corners on. You can't put Trey White on Kelsey. Like you can't put Poyer on like Kelsey's a mismatch. Those guys are mismatches. No matter, and it's not because those guys can't play. It's just the way tight ends. Those guys are hard to find, and they're so big and so athletic. They just are matchup nightmares.
Okay, so let me play devil's advocate here because I try to bring that point that we need to upgrade at tight end. Most people say, well, hold on a second. He's super athletic. He's average blocker, decent blocker. All right. And here's what they say. Most of these big tight ends are getting you 600, 700, 800 yards. Those are your Dan Wallers, your Kelseys, your top guys. The rest of the league is in the 300, 400, 500 yard range. This is what Dawson Knox will get you. You don't need to invest too much in the tight end room. How do you combat that?
Well, that's what I was saying. That's why those guys are so hard to find. Dawson Knox, I call him a dad. He's a dime a dozen. Like he's a dad to me. You can find him, you can cut him and sign another guy and get the same production. To me, go out and try to find that guy that you just can't match up with. And that's to your point. Those guys are hard to find. That's why I think they deserve top 10, top 20 value now. You
mentioned dime a dozen, right? And I fight people. I say, yo, I'm going to fight you if you keep saying that. Running backs are a dime a dozen. I can't stand that. Are you in that? Running backs are dads as well.
No, and I didn't mean by position. I meant by the player. I think it's by the player.
Jim, you're my guy. You're my guy. Keep going, man.
All by the player because it's every position has value. And I don't know why people would say running backs are important. Of course they're important. When I was working for the Saints, we won the Super Bowl. I mean, we could run the football. People always think we were just throwing the ball. We could run the ball too. I mean, we had Pierre Thomas, Reggie Bush. We were coming downhill on people. So, I just feel like every position, when I say dad, that's specific to the player.
Okay, specific to the player. So I'm gonna stay on that. I'm gonna stay on this dime a dozen. So I'm looking at the draft, and the Bills have a 30 pick. They're picking at 30.
Yep.
Are the Bills say? And right now there's a few prominent Bills media guys that say I would never touch a running back with the 30th pick, first round pick. Don't you dare. Is there such thing as that? If the guy is great and he's a difference maker, an impact, do it, especially at the running back position. Or are you like, nah, man, just wait till the second and third?
I can promise you, in all my years of scouting, we never, ever would say, especially when you're picking 30, and which we did a lot with the Saints. No, you take who you want. Best player that's up on that board. I don't care position. And you can't, if you start tunnel vision and start almost pigeonholing yourself into a position, you're going to miss. You're going to miss. You're going to force things. And, we've seen it happen where, the year before I got to Buffalo, they forced the issue of quarterback with E.J. Manuel. Geno Smith went higher than he should have. E.J. Manuel went higher than he should have in that draft. Nassib, the quarterback from, Syracuse was getting.
Kyle Nassib, I can't remember what his name is.
I think, who I'm talking about, the quarterback.
I know exactly. He came out of Syracuse. I know.
Yeah. He got overhyped, in that draft too. And those guys weren't franchise quarterbacks and nothing. But that's what happens when you say we got to get a quarterback.
I totally listen. Ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by the great Jim Monos. He's keeping it a buck, and that's how we do it on the Rico Report. So before we get into the game 2 words, because I know I'm vibing right now. I don't know about you, but I'm vibing. So
no, I'm ready. I'm excited.
All right. We're going with it. So here's the deal. The art of scouting. All right. And what separates a good scout or a solid scout from an average scout? Right. I don't want to say bad scout. Bad scouts, they don't know what the hell they're doing. A good scout to an average scout. What sets y'all aside? What's the difference between you guys?
I think the first thing to become a good scout is you have to do it for a little bit. You can't just come in and you have to build up a library. You need 4 to 5 years to really get yourself, because you're going to miss on guys. And those are the guys you need to go back and really study as a scout and say, okay, why did that guy go higher and succeed more than I thought? But you need time to develop that. And then the second thing is, how can you get the coaches at these schools that you're scouting? How do you get the coaches to trust you? Who do you know on those staffs that you can get the good info? The average scout's going to get your, you're going to go into a school and they're going to give you the old, hey, he's great. He shows up on time. We love this guy. But no, the good scouts you're going to see them going to lunch maybe or dinner the night before with some assistant coaches that they've known over the years or have some type of rapport with.
Right.
Those are the scouts that they come in and say, hey, look, this guy's fooling people. Like, you don't know what you're getting with this guy. So once again, though, that takes time. So it's hard as a young scout to come in. I remember the first year I got thrown into the Southeast when the Saints hired me back in like 2005. I didn't know a lot of coaches down there. I was in the Northeast. So I was down there like, oh man, I could tell I was just getting the one-liners from these coaches. I wasn't getting the real stuff. So I had to really dig down and say, okay, how can I connect or talk to some Saints coaches who maybe knew some coaches on those staffs that I could get in with. And that's how I did it. But I'm telling you, it's a matter of networking like anything else.
It's a matter of networking. Okay. So that being said, you've networked, you're talking to people, you're moving and grooving, you're moving and shaking, right? Who is the most impressive player that you scouted that you're like, and it worked out for this person? I knew this guy was going to be good, and look what he's doing in the league right now. Who was that for you?
You see guys, I would say Cam Newton for me was one of those where I couldn't understand why people were so scared, to take a chance. Like, not that, well, he went number one, so obviously they weren't scared, but there was so much talk on, is he Vince Young? Is he going to flame out? Can you count on him? And Cam is incredibly intelligent. He loves football. He's tough as hell. Like, those guys, Cam has that, and then obviously his size and athleticism, you've never really seen at the position before.
For sure.
So to me, I was really happy to see him. That's one of those guys I was like, I just don't see. But there were a lot of people. I mean, where'd Blaine Gabbert go? I mean, people were actually, I think Mel Kiper, I think some of those guys had Blaine Gabbert ahead of Cam Newton.
He's up there.
So,
it's a joke. And he's still in the league, for crying out loud.
Guy didn't even do anything at Missouri.
Oh.
Cam Newton just comes in from a junior college and just wins a SEC championship and a national championship. So to me, that guy was special.
All right. I asked you who your most impressive player was.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the one that you flamed on? I'm like, you thought he was going to be good, and you're like, oh, damn, I need a mulligan.
I'll give you a good one. There's always two. There's two that come to mind that I thought both these guys. Aaron Curry from Wake Forest was a defensive end, outside linebacker. I think the Raiders took him top.
Aaron Curry, that sounds so familiar. Wasn't he like a linebacker? Didn't he go to Seattle as well?
Was it Seattle, Oakland? He started with Oakland. I got to remember, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. I remember Aaron Curry.
We're talking about the same guy, and he was a guy that just seemed like a plug and play, and he's gonna have a great career, and just didn't. And I'll tell you a guy who I didn't think could be an every down running back, but definitely proved me wrong, was Chris Johnson from East Carolina. I thought maybe he was a nice change of pace with his speed, and I didn't think he was everything. That guy was tough. I mean, he was an every down back, and I didn't value him as an every down back. So those were good lessons learned. I mean, his speed was incredible. I mean, it was like, I didn't think he had the body type to hold up and be a number one like that, but he was a true number one.
I appreciate that. I gotta listen. We're gonna flip the script a little bit. I have a bone to pick with you.
Let's do it.
And Doug Whaley personally. All right. I absolutely love Stevie Johnson. Love him. My favorite Buffalo Bill of all time, and I will ring this bell all day long. You guys draft Sammy Watkins, give up a first-round pick for Sammy Watkins, and get rid of my guy, Stevie Johnson. He was the heartbeat of Buffalo, and y'all get rid of him. Why? Why didn't you keep him?
Wrong decision. You were right. No, hey, I came in, Stevie was – did we get rid of Stevie in
14? Yes.
14. Yes, 14.
You drafted Sammy Watkins
year with him.
Then
yep.
On
and
day
had him
2.
That year. Yeah. So Sammy, we've talked about this a lot. We just saw Sammy, and Sammy he just couldn't stay healthy. And we didn't have the quarterback to get anybody the ball. So whether it was Sammy, whether we took Odell Beckham, whoever we took in that draft at receiver may not have been who they are now. If we traded up and took Mike Evans or Odell, if you can't get them the ball, how are they ever going to be good? So, and you see what happened with Robert Woods when he leaves, and Marquise Goodwin goes to San Fran, leads their team in receiving. Hogan goes to the Patriots and has a nice little run. You know, it just goes to show you that. And to your point, yeah, Stevie Johnson, that goes back to kind of what we were talking about with chemistry and heartbeat.
Yes.
It's scary to get rid of some of those guys, and that's a good lesson learned for all of us. Like, you can't mess with the locker room too much. I'll tell you, when we cut Fred Jackson, you want to talk about anger and some looks that were shot our way, because that was when we had Shady. Carlos Williams was balling out, right?
Yep.
Which was an underrated 5th-round pick, who obviously he flamed out because he just didn't love the game. But talent-wise, we hit on him. I mean, it looked like that was Terry Pegula's favorite player. He was like, this guy's amazing, great job. But man, when we cut Fred Jackson, I remember just guys like looking at us like Kyle Williams, Eric Wood. I mean, they were pissed. Aaron Williams pissed. And we were good, hey, and they had every right to be, but we were trying to do talent-wise Fred's not better than Carlos at that point. He wasn't better than Shady. So, it's hard though, man. When you mess with the locker room, you gotta be careful.
So it becomes a factor. So like when you're making decisions, you have to factor in, like, skill is one thing, but I guess you're telling me chemistry is a lot more important than people want to give credit to.
Eric Wood, we talked about this with Eric over the years, but we drafted 3 offensive linemen in that 14 draft. Quanjo from Alabama, Cyril Richardson from Baylor, and Chantrell Henderson from Miami. And talk about, obviously they had their issues as players or whatever, but they didn't fit in the room very well. Eric Wood and those guys were trying to get them into the room, but they just didn't vibe.
Something was missing.
It just didn't work. And offensive line, man, that chemistry is big, probably bigger than any position on the field, because those 5 guys have to be together a lot and really get to love each other and trust each other. And those guys just never fit in, and it was that made it hard, and that was part of the reason they didn't make it either.
Okay.
Chemistry's big, man. Chemistry's big.
I'm gonna stick on this Fred Jackson thing.
Yeah. Let's go back.
Fred Jackson was beloved, still to this day beloved. And I know for a fact that he did not want to leave Buffalo. Neither did Stevie Johnson. What were those conversations like to make that phone call and say, or are you actually talking to the agent first and saying, let me talk to the agent? To me, I think it's a cop-out. Going to the agent, go to the player. No. Or is that
you got to go to the player? So the Fred one was tricky because that decision was kind of made kind of in the morning, early in the morning, before the players really got into the office. And we did go and tell Fred first, and then called his agent, and it definitely got heated. Fred was heated, the agent was heated, and they should have been. That's hard. No, look, they had every right to be heated.
Yeah.
But, and this goes back to kind of our whole 4 years in Buffalo, but it was just, we always felt like we were patchworking things. And as far as, okay, now we have Carlos, now we get rid of, like, you got to build stability, and you don't want to just be taking good players. You got to build a team. You need coaches to stick around more than 2 years. Every 2 years we're switching coaches and schemes. And long story short, it was like, Anthony Lynn, at that time, he was kind of like the OC. Greg Roman and Anthony Lynn were kind of doing the offensive stuff. And we just, their style, Shady and Carlos, just fit what they were doing a little bit. And just Fred was on his last legs too. Like, I mean, let's call it what it is. I mean, it's not like he went anywhere and balled out. But at the same time, certain players like Fred, man, that's one of the stories you can't even find guys like him with heart like that, toughness like that. Fred Jackson's all-time just incredible story. If you don't like Fred Jackson, there's something wrong with you.
Absolutely. Now, I want to go back to my guy, Stevie Johnson. Now,
okay, yes.
What was that conversation like? Because he was literally the heartbeat. When nobody was paying attention to the Bills, nobody wanted anything to do with the Bills. The Bills were rocking those ugly-ass uniforms. He was still rocking them, and y'all got to let him go because Sammy Watkins is coming to town.
Yeah, see, I don't remember the Stevie thing being as big of a I have to go back and wonder if it was something financial there too.
I
because
know that he was coming off not a great year, and some lingering injuries were kind of keeping him. He didn't play a full season his last season, then he got traded to San Fran because that was his
then we
hometown.
traded him.
Yeah.
Right.
And
right.
I understood it, but it hurt. That was my guy because I was looking forward to seeing him and Sammy Watkins together. And I think we had Robert Woods
and Goodwin.
And Goodwin and Marquise the year before.
And that was the previous. Buddy Nix had drafted those guys, and
right.
then
That's right.
Yeah, so but how I remembered a little bit was at that time, you know, the investment was there with Sammy and Woods and Goodwin, and it was like, you know, at that point, I hate to, you know, because of injuries and whatnot. But you're right, man. Hey, Stevie can play. It wasn't anything like that. Nobody's ever going to sit there and say he wasn't. I mean, route running, hands.
I got you. Listen, I know. I'm with you. I mean, there's so many things. And I honestly, ladies and gentlemen, by the way, this is the Rico Report brought to you by the Buffalo Fanatics. I'm here with player personnel, Mr. Director, Jim Monos. So you see how I put that, right? Mr. Director, because I still feel that you got it. Right? Now, we're gonna change things up a little bit. We're gonna play a game, sir. We're gonna play a game called 2 Words. I'm gonna allow you to collect yourself. Now, the way this game is played is I will throw out random players, maybe a topic, maybe a food. I don't know. I got some things written down and I might go off the cuff of my head, right? Are you ready?
I'm ready. I like this.
All right. Hold on a second. So you mentioned a few names as I've been jotting them down because I'm like, ooh, that's a good one. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to play a game called 2 Words with Jim Monos. Jim, are you ready? Here we go. Buddy Nix.
Legendary scout.
Oh. So did you feel good about
scouting world? In the scouting world, Buddy Nix was always, no matter what position he was in, he loves football. He loves the Southeast. I mean, Buddy Nix actually, when I was a young scout, I got to know him a little bit on the road and see him at schools and spent time with him, and just was very, for a guy in his position, he would always spend time with area scouts. He didn't care about titles. So I don't have anything. I couldn't say anything else in legendary scout. You'd see Buddy Nix on the road, spend some time with him when you're a young scout. You felt like you learned something. Sorry, I went too long on that. You didn't.
No. You're good. This is perfect. This is perfect. My fault. No. This is perfect. All right, because you brought me Buddy Nix. I bring you CJ Spiller.
Crazy fast.
Crazy fast, huh? What about this one? Sideline. Did you like that one?
That's better.
That's even better because that's all he wanted to hit was a sideline. Sick and tired of that shit. Hit the hole, man.
If he wasn't going to run by you, he was getting out.
Oh my gosh, man, that boy made me sick. He had one good year, and that was it. That boy made me sick. Anyway, Marshawn Lynch.
Straight dog.
Straight dog.
Like
Marshawn Lynch.
Every good way you could think of that phrase. That is the toughest. There is nobody wants a part of him. I mean, that is what you want at that position.
I love it. I love it. Here we go. Nate Peterman.
Too nice.
Yo, this is a thing. People have all been saying this about Nate Peterman. Steve Tasker was like very nice guy and just a guy that you want on your squad, and too nice, you say.
I could use another word than nice, but I'll just say too nice.
Too nice. All right. Doug Whaley.
Loyal friend.
That's my guy, Doug Whaley. We're gonna get into Doug Whaley in just a little bit.
That's best. Those 2 words. That's hard for. I don't say that about a lot of people. So
I like
that as a loyal friend.
You know what though? The word loyalty is thrown out too often, and nobody really respects it. But the game, the NFL, there is no loyalty in the NFL, or is there?
None.
No loyalty. I like it. Here we go. Sean McDermott.
Smart. Stiff.
Smart, stiff. And
so here's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Go ahead.
He knew everything he wanted to do. When I say as far as build a culture and build an organization, so smart and prepared for what the job that he's doing. I say stiff. He's just not a guy you want to hang out with and drink beers with, and it doesn't bring a lot to the table if you're hanging out. So he's smart, but kind of stiff personality.
You need to loosen him up a little bit.
It won't happen.
It won't happen. That's just the way. That's the way he's wired.
That's how he is.
That's the way he's wired. All right, here we go. I'm gonna move off the cuff now. These were the ones that were written down. Now we're gonna move off the cuff. All right. Restaurant in Buffalo. Best restaurant in Buffalo.
Roost. Yep. Check it out if you get a chance. ROST. They changed their menu up, but the chef there, Martin, does a great job. His sister Paula. They're always bringing different menus to the table. Incredible food, incredible atmosphere. Great brunch too. So
okay.
Roost.
City of Buffalo.
Underrated toughness. Like, am I doing 2 words still?
No, this is good. No, keep going. This is perfect. Game days.
Gut-wrenching.
Now you need to explain that to me.
Game days when you work in the NFL are gut-wrenching, where if you win, you're just relieved. If you lose, you're disgusted. And it's just the nerves that you're sitting with the owner during a game. And it's just, whenever a player's not looking good, the owner's sitting behind you saying, well, where'd we take that guy? Why we take him there? And you have to, it's like going to the principal's office. You got to be ready to answer questions that you did something wrong, but it's just like you're just balled up. And it's just because the win, like I said, when you win, you're relieved. You don't really enjoy it. You might enjoy it for a couple hours, but you're just so relieved that for that week, people think you're doing a good job. And if you lose, it's terrible, and everybody wants you fired.
Man, oh man. Now, I'm good. Listen, you did a fantastic job with 2 words. I'm going to tell you, man, you didn't waver one bit. I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Monos crushed that 2 words, man. He crushed
that. I like that segment.
Yo, listen, we got more segments to go, baby. We got more. So here we go. And I promise I won't take too much of your time, but if we rocking. So here we go. Now, I want to ask this question because you mentioned being in the press box. If things aren't going well, you got the owner right behind you. You're like, ooh, Whaley. He's talking. They're whispering. So how do you answer to coach when, or not even coach, how do you answer to the owner when team is not doing well? What do you say? What are your excuses? Do you have them pre-written? I'm like, hey, I'm going to say this if we lose. Like, how do you do it? Or are they not even as hard as you guys? More so on the coach?
No, they're hard on both. And I think that's a great question because to me, I think you better be prepared to have an answer for your plan. What are we going to do? You always need to know, what are we going to do to get better? Because there's only one team winning the Super Bowl. So the owner always wants to know, what do we need to do to get better? Where are we? So anytime he brings something up, you better have an answer and show him that you've been thinking about the next step at that position or that player.
That's a great answer because where I work as well is if something went wrong, fine, it went wrong. But you need to tell me what went wrong, how you're going to fix it, and how you're going to go about it the next day not let it happen again. And you better not have an answer because you don't have an answer, then we got real issues. And I feel go ahead.
I was always told that, especially if you go on an interview for a job and they don't want to hear, like when people say, when you're interviewing for a job, well, what do we need to do this? And somebody says, well, we need this, we need this, we need this. But it all costs money. People want to know what you can do for them to save them money but get the job done. And that's kind of personnel. Like, how can we get, and the Bills are doing a good job of it. How can we get free agents that we want at our price and not overspend? And those are the types of answers owners want to hear. Like, don't just say, give me Matt Judon and give me, all these guys at Patriots, let's just spend money. No, hold on now. Why are we going to spend all this money?
All right. If you were to grade, and I'm going to get into my segment soon, but if you're going to grade the Bills offseason thus far, from a grade from A+ to F, where are they right now currently? And they're not even hitting the draft yet. Where are they right now?
I give them a A minus to A, really, that range, because I just believe in they're a good team. AFC Championship kept the team together, which is an incredible job to get guys to and they're to fit what they want to spend on them. The offensive lineman, Matt Milano,
Right.
they redid Hyde. I mean that, but the reason I'm saying A minus and maybe not A is did you improve on defense yet to get a pass rush that is going to be needed to beat the great quarterbacks once you
Yes.
get to the AFC Championship or the Super Bowl. You need to pass rush Aaron Rodgers. You need to rush Mahomes. You need to rush Brady. So did they improve in the pass rush yet? I don't know. I haven't seen that yet, so I'll go A minus.
A minus. I respect that. Now this is a great segue because I just can't wait. So I was going to say we're going to go into another segment called Defend This Statement.
I like it.
All right. So there are there's a lot of chatter in Bill's community that I find myself involved in quite often. Sometimes I just don't give a damn and I don't even bother with it. They can roast me all they want. I said what I said and I'm going to leave it that way. Now, I do have some questions pertaining to you, Doug Whaley, and the departure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let me get right to it. My daughter is learning how to cook into the kitchen, right? And I think you may know where I'm going with this. So she'll say, Dad, how would I do this? So I say, do this. I'll buy the groceries. I'll do all that stuff. But how do I cook it, Dad? I don't know. So I tell her how to cook it. You do this, you do this, do this. Once the meal comes out, somebody comes in and has the meal. Like, wow, Vanessa, you did a great job. Meanwhile, I'm like, I'm proud of it because I know what I did to make this meal happen. But you know what? She can take the credit.
I like it.
Who in the heck is responsible for the 17 draft? Who made the calls? Who would you say deserves a credit for that draft class? Because right now the chatter is McDermott did the draft. He did everything. That was his team. That's him taking credit for everything because of the success that the Bills have right now. Meanwhile, my man Doug Whaley, Jim Monos, scouted that whole damn thing and put it together for you. I got out of hand there. But who is responsible?
That draft, and you're going to hate this answer. Okay. Sean McDermott has the final say. Okay. He approved every pick for sure. We set that draft board as a scouting staff. Whaley, myself, all the scouts. We set that board, and we did a really good job with the assistant coaches. Sean made sure that we were all synced up with the coaching staff, the new staff. I really believe that was a total team effort to come up with those picks. I can tell you right now that the coaching staff and personnel all like Trey White, all like Zay Jones, even though he didn't make it, all like Deion Dawkins, all like Matt Milano. So I really believe that's the sign of how you do things the right way, where there wasn't guys that were drafted that the coaches didn't want, but the staff personnel guys did. We've done that in the past. Or Doug Marone, there was some offense. He didn't want some of those offensive linemen that we drafted, and he was correct on some of those guys. But with that draft, I really thought it was a collaborative effort, and I think it showed.
I respect that answer. It makes me now have a better understanding. Instead of me spouting off things that I don't know, I'd rather hear from the individual that was involved. So this was and I hate this, I guess, a team effort from both of you guys.
It really is, because to be fair to the coach, to be fair to Sean, I mean, his job isn't to scout all those players during the fall and during the January and February. That's our job, and our scouts' jobs to get that draft board. But then once the board's set and we start funneling those players to Sean and the coaches, and then they like them and we all agree, that's how they get drafted.
All right. Did you guys see the writing on the wall that y'all were going to get let go? Or was that like a what the just happened?
No, there were signs. There were signs. I mean, we weren't going to dinner with the Bagulas as much leading up to the draft like we had in years past. And, I saw I saw the way things were coaches not, especially Sean was acting a little different. And I knew that there were some things going on, but you kind of just have to ignore it and let's just get the job done and let's hope for the best. But no, you can't ever, but the writing was on the wall. You definitely could feel that there was something not right. And things were leaking out in the media, right up before the draft there. It's like, where is this stuff coming from? And so where there's smoke, there's fire. And that one definitely showed up.
Defend this statement.
Mm-hmm.
Doug Whaley was fucking terrible with money. Can't manage money for shit.
Ooh, well,
That's what they're saying. He's
yeah, no.
Marcel Darius and just a slew of players. How do you
Well,
defend
you
that?
can't blame just Doug on guys that we decided to pay. Guys like Aaron Williams who got hurt, and Marcel, and we did value those guys a lot and paid them, and it didn't work out. But you can never just blame one guy. Doug never would do. It's not Doug making a decision. There's Jim Overdorf, the salary cap guy. He was involved. So as a staff, you kind of come together, and the salary cap guys, you kind of set the number based on where, the league, you guys could guess what people are going to make just by looking up what guys at that position make,
Yep.
So when we had to break the bank, and pay Marcel, and those are hard pills to swallow, but, we value those guys are hard to find. Marcel Darius doesn't exist in this. I mean, he's a talent, but things didn't work out as well as you want with his, he had some injuries, he had some off field. He always had something going on, but
always. It was annoying.
always.
I have a friend of mine that actually a friend of mine. What am I saying? My brother-in-law is in Alabama, and that's where my man is from. And he pulled up to a barbershop.
Yeah.
His vehicle was a Brinks truck, an armored Brinks truck. That's his vehicle. He drove up to the damn barbershop in a Brinks truck. My brother-in-law comes and goes, "Yo, your defensive tackle just pulled up in a Brinks truck, an armored Brinks truck." Does that shock you?
No, it's not shocking at all.
Come on, man. All right.
Not at all.
Defend this statement. Whaley and Monos don't know how to draft a quarterback. Look who they brought in with EJ Manuel and a whole bunch of slew of bums. They can sure scout a linebacker, but when it comes to quarterback, they didn't have it.
I agree with that statement.
Can't
defend it. I wasn't here for the EJ Manuel draft. Buddy Nix was the GM who made that call. Doug was assistant GM at the time. Whaley, so he shouldn't get that. He shouldn't get that on him too much. That was a Doug Marrone, Russ Brandon, Buddy Nix. That was a strong decision by them. Whaley and I took. Obviously, we took Cardell Jones, and we were going to take Dak Prescott, but he went a couple picks right before that. We wanted to get a quarterback. That was a compensatory pick. And we thought at that point you can't trade those picks. So we thought maybe he had a shot to get better, but we missed on him and Peterman. Obviously, I mean he's somehow still playing, but that was a miss. We thought he could be a backup quarterback, and I thought he got. We weren't here for when they threw him in. I don't know how he got thrown into the fire that quickly. Peterman to us, we took him in the fifth, sixth round, wherever. Fifth round. That's a back. I mean, you're hoping he develops into a number two. I thought he'd be a good number two. We never thought he'd be your franchise starter.
Can I say something? I actually like Nate Peterman. I rooted for Nate Peterman. I rooted for him. He was an offseason guru. He was killing the game in the offseason. The preseason, he was a monster. And I went on a limb and I said, guys, Josh Allen just got drafted. Adrian McCarron is backing up. I'm telling you right now, Peterman is going to win the job. Watch it. He does. But then he has an epic fail during the season. I liked it. I like Peterman. I didn't mind the pick.
You know what? And he might be doing something out in Oakland that's obviously giving them some type of confidence to keep him around. So you're not there. We're not there day to day. But wait, can I ask you one question on this?
Yes, you can. Yes.
This isn't really. It's not a defend the statement. It's almost like what if. Okay. Because here's what made me think of it. How people say Whaley was terrible with the cap. Okay.
Sure.
That's okay. What if Josh Allen didn't have this breakout year? What if he was still the inconsistent kind of mania? Are we all of a sudden, is Brandon Beane still a genius? I mean, if you look at these drafts, they have missed on. I mean, some of these Edmonds and Ed Oliver. I mean, these guys they're not really difference makers for high picks. But if Josh Allen doesn't pan out, I think we're talking about a whole different thing here. And that's how important the quarterback is, to your point. And we didn't get it done at quarterback, but man, they're lucky Josh Allen panned out, because it's not like every move they've made has been great.
Okay, let me say something, because before he had this year, I had a heated debate, because I was like, Josh Allen needs to have a monster year, must throw for over 4,000 yards, 30 plus touchdowns, because we cannot have a 2,300-yard season with 20 touchdowns. That ain't gonna cut it. And if he does
How the NFL,
don't you worry about it. He's an MVP, and he happened to be in the conversation. I had to sit there and eat crow. I had no choice. But you're not wrong. What if he wasn't? Now we're going into year 4, year 5, and now you have to make a decision on a 5th-year option. What do I do? What's happening? But it panned out. Now here's my question to you: Is Josh Allen actually the real deal, or was this one of those years where everything just fit and came together this year?
I think he can sustain it. I don't think it was flukish at all, because when you watch the throws he was making, they were rare type throws. Their throw, he's making plays that other guys, very few guys can make. I think that's a sign of his talent. The thing that separates the great quarterbacks are the consistency, which he's going to have to prove. Can he do it again? And don't turn the ball over. You can't be the reason your team loses. And Josh, I think those first couple years you could argue that some of those plays he was making was holding him back a little bit. Now, if he stopped with the turnovers and the fumbling and if he does that, he should be just fine.
I agree, and I liked what I saw. I got two more for you guys. For in this statement, in this segment, 2 more for you. Defend this statement or defend this moment. Doug Whaley in that press conference when he kept on uttering, "I wasn't privy to that conversation. I wasn't privy." Fam, I was like, "Come on, say something else." I wasn't privy. How could you defend it? I'm sure you guys sat together and you said, "Doug, fam, what was that?"
I can tell you that whole thing was an absolute debacle. And Doug will tell you if it could all be done again, I think Doug should have just gone out there and spoke right off the cuff and let's just get at it. I'll tell you everything I know. Here's what's going on. That's how it should have been handled. It was handled, and I know where it came from. It came from the PR department, and let's keep this. Hey, this is how you should answer this question. Answer this question. Just say this. When you tell people this is what they're supposed to say to try to answer it the right way, like you said, that's what you get. Anybody that knows Doug Whaley knows that he will stand up and own up to anything. And it's a shame that he didn't get to do that press conference and be who he is.
I totally agree. And it felt like he was covering and not wanting to throw anybody under the bus.
Let me tell you how crazy it was. So I would stand off to the side of those press conferences, and we were getting ready after that press conference. We were flying down to Florida to start the coaching search. We were getting ready to meet with the Pagulas to go over the game plan for the offseason, the coaching search, everything. And I'm sitting there and I'm cringing I just was like, get me out of here, get Doug out of here. We go to the airport, we fly down to Florida, and I'm like, Doug, they might fire us before this coaching search even starts. I'm like, what the hell was that? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, what? But long story short, hey, they gave us a chance. We came up, we got McDermott in. We got, obviously we got a good coach, but man, that press conference is an all-time bomb.
Oh my God. It was cringy.
Cringe. I don't even like thinking. I wish you didn't even bring it up.
I had to. People are wondering. And I had to bring up, you got Pagula coming out there with his first press conference with a booger up his nose. Why didn't y'all tell him, yo, fam,
I didn't see that.
Take that? He had a booger just sitting out his nose, and nobody said a damn thing on national TV. That's another day. That's here for another day.
That can't happen though.
Ladies and gentlemen, my guy Jim Onos is keeping it a buck all the way, and I very much appreciate, and Bills fans will appreciate this this honest conversation. I don't feel like this is an interview, more of a conversation, right? We're just chopping it up. I have one more thing for you to defend. Defend Doug Whaley and Jim Monos.
We drafted and signed a lot of good, talented football players. We did not put together good football teams. And when I say that, it was just hard to do it when you're just rotating coaches and schemes. It wasn't the recipe for success. And that's why you got to love what the Bills are doing. They're keeping the staff in place. They're running the same system. We went from, Mike Pettin to Jim Schwartz to Rex Ryan, his defenses, which it's all different schemes. It's craziness. And we're trying to get the right guys. And that's where I'll defend us. But if you look, we signed and drafted some really good players.
You damn right. You damn right. I now stand for you guys, man. I love what you did. We just missed out on the quarterback. I don't want to take too much more of your time, but this is too damn good for me to dismiss some of the things I got to say. So I'm going to say it. All right. Jimmy Schwartz.
Yeah.
Then you bring in freaking Rex Ryan. Jimmy Schwartz had that defense humming. And then you bring in Rex Ryan and he messes up the whole thing. Why did Doug hire Rex Ryan? I know he didn't. Why?
So Terry Pagula will own up that was on him. He said that publicly, said it to us, where Doug was part of that search with Russ Brandon. I was not involved in that search, but I know it was Russ Brandon, Doug Whaley, and the Pagulas. And they came down to a group of like Adam Gase, Hugh Jackson, Rex Ryan. It was kind of like the finalists. They interviewed a lot of people. They interviewed Frank Reich, Shanahan. I mean, they interviewed some really, guys that have succeeded. But Terry fell in love with Rex's AFC East, his, bravado. And, hey, I've gone against Brady. I know how to beat Brady. And, hey, Terry, everybody makes mistakes when you're first getting it. And, like we said, you got to learn from it. And I think Terry did. And that next search, Terry really leaned on us, and as the four of us, Terry, Kim, Doug, and myself came together and got Sean.
Would you guys have changed? Who was the runner-up?
Anthony Lynn.
And he got his opportunity. And too bad he's out of the league.
If we hired Anthony Lynn, well, it's too hard to say because what would have happened. But I mean, we got along with Anthony Lynn really well. Like we all got along real well.
For sure. Now you defended statements extremely well, and I applaud you for that. Now I'm gonna make you defend these players.
Yep.
Defend Cyrus Kouandjio.
Oh, flat out miss.
Bust.
Like it was a miss by all. I hate to tell you, there was people that wanted to take him in the first round. But we had a range where it was a range from. But yes, bust. Couldn't move. Everything you thought when you see him walk in a room, he looks like a left tackle. I mean, that's how they look. But he didn't have the feet. He couldn't stay healthy. I mean, it was a mess. He was a mess.
This one's gonna be hard for you to defend, and good luck. Defend Russ Brandon.
So, Russ Brandon did a good job of. Russ Brandon treated me so well. From the time I met him a long time ago, I've known him for years. And bringing me to Buffalo, Doug Whaley brought me in, and Russ was, at the time, we didn't have, Ralph Wilson was kind of on his. I never met Ralph Wilson. That was when he was real sick and wasn't around.
Right.
So Russ Brandon really. Here's how I'll defend Russ. Russ loves Buffalo. He loves the Bills. Like he wants everything to be success. He's probably happy that the Bills are having this success. He really does love Buffalo. That's the best way I can defend him, and he did a lot of good for me.
Defend head coach for the Raiders, Chucky. Because right now they gave him a 10-year deal, and in the time that he's been there, the Raiders haven't done a damn thing. How does a coach that hasn't done a damn thing with his team continue to have a head coaching job when you have quality coaches that are just getting passed over?
I'm not a Gruden fan. I can't defend him. I don't like how he got a 10-year. How does he get a 10-year contract? Now he's had John Gruden. I don't want to take away from his career. I mean, obviously he's had so much success in the Super Bowl, but a 10-year career. I mean, a 10-year contract, and you bring in a guy that's on the NFL Network to be because you can basically you don't. He didn't want a GM that was going to overtake him.
Of course not.
So you bring in a guy that has never done it, and I like Mike. Mike's a hard worker and loves football, but they haven't done anything right.
Not a damn thing. And look what they're doing right now. Just
bad.
Just not
bad.
good. Not good.
Doesn't even make sense.
It doesn't make any sense right now. So last segment of the show before you get out of here, and you've been freaking amazing.
Nah, man,
amazing. So this segment is called Say It With Your Chest. All right. And I allow people to say something that's on their chest that maybe Bills fans don't know, maybe out there don't know. And you need to say it, and you need to say it strong. And I usually give a topic, but I'm going to let you say something that you want to say to people that may not know or Bills fan need to know. And I don't know if you have that on your mind, but I'm going to let you freestyle. Are you ready? Give me a moment. I'm going to cue it up and give you a moment. Here we go. Say it with your chest. What's on Jim Mono's chest right now?
I'm going to do one personal from the 14 draft. And anybody will tell you this that worked in the Bills. We all love Sammy Watkins, and we traded up for him, and it was a mistake, obviously. Not because Sammy can't play, for other factors. And he wasn't clearly the best receiver in that draft, and that was the issue I had. I thought we could have stayed at 9, and anybody will tell you, Danny Crossman, the special teams coordinator at the time, we were fine staying at 9 and drafting Odell Beckham. And to this day, that always stung a little bit because we went up, traded that future first rounder to get Sammy. And we were all on board with Sammy, too. I'm not going to say I didn't think Sammy was going to be a stud. But, yes, I would have preferred Odell Beckham at 9 if knowing Sammy would have been gone at the time.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Monos, you crushed this show. I've had great guests. I'm going to tell you, Steve Tasker was amazing, but you are up there with Steve Tasker. God damn. You did a great job, man. You did a fantastic job. Now, before you get out of here, people need to know what your next moves are. And I know you don't want to reveal too much, but what's going on with Jim? What's going on with Doug? Where can we see you guys? Can we see you guys in the league soon? What's happening?
Let's hope, because there's going to be some movement after this draft. Because a lot of teams just hire GMs, and they usually wait till after the draft to kind of shake up their scouting staffs. So I know Doug and myself are both trying to get back in this year. We're going to give it a run. Hey, if not, I'm going to keep coming on your show, and we'll just keep telling stories. But
I will have you as a regular goddamn guest, because that is just how nice you are. And I want to pick your brain, because this draft is coming up, and I'm going to want your thoughts on these players. Now, I have to ask this question. We've got we've got some weaknesses on defense, weaknesses on offense. Where do we draft? It doesn't have to be a specific player, but what position group do we draft on defense, and what position group do we draft on offense in this draft that you feel that we need?
Don't do it to yourself. When you're picking 30, don't say position. Just get the best player. We did this in New Orleans, where when you're picking 30, first of all, you've done a great job. It means you're a good team. Secondly, that since you're a good team, just keep adding good players, keep adding talent to guys that you have conviction on. But you can't go into a draft saying we have to draft a tight end at 30, or because you don't know. You just don't know who's going to be there at
30. Okay, last one. I promise.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
You mentioned the run game when you had Pierre Thomas. I believe Thomas. You had
Reggie Bush, Pierre. Yeah.
Those are two different types of backs. They gave you two different things. When you look at the Bills' backfield, right? You've got Devin Singletary, you've got Zach Moss from Utah, then you got Christian Wade on the sideline right now, and we got 3 backs. The O-line is not saying much right now. Is the problem the O-line or the running back room, and how do you feel about our running backs? Upgrade or stay put?
I think you try to upgrade at your price. I think you're always trying to upgrade. I didn't see much from Moss or Singletary to make me think that they are the answer, but I also don't see them as being like the problem, if that makes sense. I think they're just kind of good. They're okay players. So in a right scheme with a big-time quarterback like Josh, they can be okay. I don't think those guys are difference makers, although I do like the way Moss runs the ball. But I don't think they're difference makers as players. So, yes, if you can upgrade, you should upgrade.
You should upgrade. And you know what? On that note, we're going to end it right there. Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Monos, Jim the Man Monos, Mr. Director Monos came through and hit the mother effing bell and did a damn good job. Sir, thank you for your time. It was amazing. We really didn't want to go an hour, but goddamn, this shit was good. This stuff was good,
this is professional, man. I love this show. I like the energy. Maybe we'll talk about after the draft. Maybe we'll break down some of these players.
110%. I will definitely hit you back up. Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Monos. This is the Rico Report brought to you by the Buffalo Fanatics, and we will catch you guys on another time. Jim, you were great. Thank you.